Let's go to round two.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, and I wanted to thank you for making Locked On Knicks your first listen today and every day. And I wanted to remind you, game off. We got to talk more about Monopoly Go, the fast-paced game. Lets you team with friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. And I want to thank you one more time for making Locked On Knicks your first listen today and every day, because we are now available on all platforms. So be sure to hit that subscription button while you're watching on YouTube and hit that notifications bell to ensure you never miss an episode when the New York Knicks end the Philadelphia 76ers season on their home court. But boy, was I breathing heavy. I'm Gavin Schall, your favorite play-by-play broadcaster's favorite play-by-play broadcaster, and the New York Knicks tonight, a 118-115 victory over the Philadelphia 76ers to escape with a 4-2 series win. And the overwhelming feeling was initially jubilation, and then it was relief. It was massive relief. The Knicks went up 33-11 in this game after an OG Anunoby dunk that threatened to break my vocal cords and cause my landlord to cease my lease. It was 109-101. From that point forward, it felt like deja vu for the Knicks. Anunoby misses the free throw. Philly comes back down. Oubre hits a three off some good ball movement. Anunoby got a decent contest on it. Brunson misses a short shot that probably should have gone. Tyrese Maxey coast to coast. Knicks do a great job getting back. Anunoby, good contest. Maxey, just like the Oubre layup at the end of game 5, falls down, still goes in. Hart misses a double pump runner when Embiid sticks with Hartenstein. Has another chance at it at the tip-in, misses that. Brunson comes back down, gets Oubre on his hip, and this was such a big moment in that games 1 and 2, Philly was daring Jalen Brunson to try this, to put them in jail on his hip, booty jail for the longtime listeners, and try and flail back into them. And over again, Philly was able to dodge the foul, was able to get the block. But Jalen, I think at this point, aware that they were fatigued, that they weren't as sharp, jolts back into Oubre. He's not ready for it. Shot rattles in. Foul and one. Knicks up 111-108. Brunson, of course, because it has to be dramatic, misses the free throw. Maxey gets an and one on a slightly iffy goaltend call. It's 111 all. Brunson kick. Hart wants one more pass to DiVincenzo, who has been cooking all night long. Philly smartly goes to DiVincenzo. Hart says, screw it. I'm that man. I've been doing this all series. I'm him. He drains it. 114-111 Knicks. Bang. The Knicks go small. And I thought I didn't love this decision from Tom Thibodeau. 24 seconds on the clock. Obviously, you don't want to concede the three. You love the ability to be able to switch everything. But the way they were making free throws, it was hard to palate giving up a bucket to Joel Embiid that was pretty much automatic just 4 seconds into the shot clock. 20 seconds to go. The Knicks move the ball around, ends up with Donte DiVincenzo. He wanted to make one more pass to Jalen Brunson. They foul him just in time. The Knicks just barely avoid disaster after Brunson slings it up the court to DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo throws it ahead to Hart, but it was too hard. Hart has to tiptoe the sideline just to survive the play. Devo makes both. Oh my goodness. Maxey, 2 free throws on the other end. The Knicks learn the lesson. They don't even think about letting him get a shot off. Brunson makes 2. Maxey can't get it up the court. Deuce into the game, knocks the ball away. Up to Buddy Hield. The Knicks somehow do not get the foul in time. Buddy Hield making 3 after 3, chucks one from his hip. The way the last 2 games had gone, you just had it in your head. Oh my goodness, could this actually go in? It almost does. It ultimately doesn't. And the Knicks hold on 118-111 115 over the Sixers. And man, if that wasn't a microcosm of this Knicks season, brutally beaten down, you can sense the exhaustion after they went up 33-11. This team died. And yes, we can go back tomorrow. We can go back the next day and we can say they didn't play well enough and they didn't, and they weren't focused and they weren't boxing out and they didn't do what they needed to do. And yet at the most important moments, they were able to just find enough energy, just find enough juice and hold off Philly, because that's what it took tonight. This was a win, a little bit of execution, a little bit of skill, but this was a win of heart. And when you have Jalen Brunson, when you have Donte DiVincenzo, when you have a little cliche, but I'll say it, when you have Josh Hart at the core of this team, there is a mentality that is rock solid, that was not shaken by one of the more devastating first-round losses in the history of the playoffs. And it's a credit to this front office because they have built this team around not the most athletic players in the league, aside from Jalen, not the most skilled players in the league, some big, strong dudes, but maybe not even the biggest team in the league. Certainly not the deepest anymore with Julius Randle down, with Bojan Bogdanovic down. They built the toughest team in basketball, bar none. And you could put Denver in that category. There's not another team in the same universe in terms of mental toughness as these Knicks. And they showed it again tonight in a game where they had every right to break down, where the Sixers crowd, they had to pay for it, but give them credit. They were loud. They were into it. They were vicious. And the Knicks just kind of took it and said, we're going to keep on coming. They gave up a 23-point lead. There was a stretch where the Sixers, it was initially a 30-11 run, turned into a 49-19 run. Again, the Knicks were utterly bereft of a bench. The Knicks score 5 bench points in this game. The Sixers score 42. Joel Embiid scores 39. And yet the Knicks somehow, some way had enough to pull this off. Another 40 points for Jalen Brunson, 41-12, 13-27 from the field, 12 of 16 free throws in this game for Jalen Brunson. OG Anunoby, a safety at the rim, snuffing everything out at the basket. 19 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 14, 9, and 2 for Hartenstein. Josh Hart, 16, 14, and 7, injured multiple times, was limping around between plays, didn't matter. And Donte DiVincenzo, who has sucked in this series outside of game 2, 5 threes, 23 points, and on a team absolutely starving for creation, 7 assists, and his offense wasn't even the most important part of this game. 3 blocks, 2 steals, held Tyrese Maxey to 2 points in the first half, and ultimately after Maxey had just burned this team, he finishes with 17 points, 6 of 18 from the field, 1 for 6 shooting from distance. It was a Herculean effort from DiVincenzo. I mean, outside of Brunson, probably outside of Anunoby, he was their most important player tonight. And to rebound in that fashion after the last few games he had was extraordinary. We're going to come back. We're going to go a little deeper on Jalen Brunson. We're going to go a little deeper on this entire game. What a night. What a win. The Knicks move on to round 2 to face the Indiana Pacers. We get into it all next on Locked On Knicks. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying, flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there is just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes. Cool new playing pieces to travel the board with. Hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges, a ton, including their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot Panchico machine. And there's always new timed events to help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. All right, what's up, guys? We are back on Locked On Knicks, 118 to 115 over the Philadelphia 76ers. I am still shaking. I was about ready to have a heart attack on that Anunoby dunk. Again, on that Brunson would be and one, and then Hart making that three. I mean, my goodness. This is a guy who was afraid to shoot last playoffs and goes from that to hitting a three, whole crowd, 20,000 people hoping he falls dead on the floor in that moment. And he just drains it, holds the gooseneck up in the air. Wow. You have to start with Jalen Brunson. I don't know how you begin anywhere else. A legitimate, deserving candidate for MVP this year. 41 points, 12 assists, 3 boards. We told you the Sixers made a significant adjustment. They started going under screens. They saw how Brunson had just torched Joel Embiid over and over and over again in this series, particularly in Game 5 when he would step up. So they started going under, and it worked really well. After Brunson hit the first shot of the game, a straight-on Dirk fadeaway. Brunson struggled a little bit from the first to the second quarter. Had one other great and one on Oubre where again he let Oubre run into him, got the and one to go, and then it was about a quarter before he had another bucket. Finally, late second quarter, he drains the step back two. Felt like an MVP type shot with the Knicks just flailing, right? Giving up this big run to Philadelphia, that 49-19 burst. Sixers led 49-47. Everything was crumbling. Brunson just calmly hits a mid-range jumper. Opens the second half. Basket plus the foul. Missed the free throw. Sidestep three. Doing such a good job navigating Hartenstein screens. And Brunson over and over again was figured out that drop defense and the Sixers going under by letting Hartenstein rescreen or doing a little give and go with Hartenstein and getting it back. And then the passing as this fourth quarter went along. Donte DiVincenzo backdoor cut. Brunson hit him for the jam. Paul Reed doubles him. Brunson drags it out. Hits Mitch for the jam. Sits for 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. Tom Thibodeau able to buy him those 2 minutes. 95 all. Stops the dribble. Give and go with iHeart after coming back into the game. Got him beat on a switch. Cross back. Step back. Drains it despite a great rear view contest from Nico Batum. And the Nova trio, I mean, just carried the Knicks to this win. Transition. Hart to Devo under the rim. Sprays it out to Jalen. Another three coming out of a timeout. 95 all. Knicks on the brink. What does Jalen Brunson do? He makes 2 threes in a row. And then this was the shot of the game for my money. 3 Sixers around him. Shot clock dwindling. Pump fake. Had no business hitting it. Step through. Somehow gets the shot to go. Got middle on the next possession. Super patient. 107-99. And then one more for good measure on Oubre. And then the 2 free throws. He has missed a lot of big free throws. It's understandable with the time that he's playing, with the strain on him, with the mental strain, with the physical strain. And yet when it mattered most, again, stepped up to the line, made 2 in a row. Jalen freaking Brunson. The best free agent to come to the Knicks ever. One of the best 5 to 10, I'll call it 10 free agency signings in NBA history. And he is how do you not consider this guy a top 7 player in basketball at this point? We can come together another day. We can make the list. I'll tell you this much. It's hard to put Joel Embiid ahead of him on that list. Watching this series, watching this postseason, Jalen Brunson has had 2 postseasons in New York, and they have both been somewhat substantially better than anything Joel Embiid has done in his Sixers career. And that's crazy to say, because earlier this year, I would have told you Embiid was the best player in basketball behind Nikola Jokic. There was a major jump for Jalen Brunson. All right. Let's go to OG Anunoby, because I thought he was pretty clearly the Knicks' second most important player in this one. What the adjustment from Tom Thibodeau, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it in this episode or next episode, but I thought a mixed bag from Tom Thibodeau in this game. Overall, really good job in this series. Some things I'd quibble with in this series. I'm sure some things a lot of you would quibble with in this series. One thing I thought was brilliant was the decision to ultimately take him off Tyrese Maxey, put him on Tobias Harris, and let him just protect the rim with abandon over and over and over again. As great as Donte DiVincenzo defended Tyrese Maxey, it was equally about Anunoby and what he did over and over and over again, rotating over. It happened early in this game, had a big-time swat on Oubre, rotating over from the wing on Harris, led to Brunson getting fouled on a 3. Again, later in this game, on offense, he was just consistently attacking the rim, with Embiid sitting back, like hit a free throw line jumper to start his night. Again, forced to miss on Maxey, going straight up and down on the rim. Then back to offense, a pump and drive pass Batum right around Embiid for the layup. Smooth step back jumper to beat Oubre. Blew a couple dunks. That was frustrating. Finally late in the third, after he was just absent on offense for a long time, hit a long 2 in Joel Embiid's eye. And then those back-to-back 3s that, again, the Knicks don't win if both those shots don't go down. Off an offensive rebound on the first one in the corner to make it 83-all. Hart, another rebound in heavy traffic, kicked it back out from the wing. That made it 86-83. Another great rotation in the fourth quarter to shut down Tyrese Maxey. That ultimately got the Knicks the ball. Another swat on Maxey, rotating over. The up and under late in the fourth. That was before the dunk. People are going to forget about that play. That was another, it was the exact same scenario as the dunk he had, where there was an opportunity to take a 3, and he decided not to settle, got all the way to the rim, beat 2 defenders at the rim with an up and under. And then we have to talk about that dunk. Again, it was Isaiah Hartenstein who struggled defensively for the most part in this one, but just an exceptional tap out. OG had a wide open 3 ball, and he didn't want to settle. Drive down the lane, put it on Embiid's head, and that in one play summed up what OG Anunoby brought to the Knicks. Of course, everything defensively was so important, but it was the physicality. It was the size offensively that I think was the biggest thing for this Knicks team. I should say the size on both ends of the floor, because this Knicks team felt small early in the year and would just get bullied in a way they didn't a season ago. And you just had this feeling in the playoffs, it was going to come back to bite them. It was going to end their series. I thought before the Anunoby trade in the first round, and Anunoby is just the one guy on this team that can get dunks in the half court. Of course, RJ would occasionally be able to turn the corner and do it. OG with one of the most intimidating rim protectors, even injured in basketball, Joel Embiid. OG has gone at him over and over and over again in this series. And it was just another great two-way performance. After 2 so-so games to start this series, he has played close to perfect basketball. 19-9, 2-2 in this one. I want to talk Donte DiVincenzo. We were going to step aside one more time. We were going to get into his night. We're going to get into Josh Hart's night. We're going to talk about the centers, and then maybe some quick thoughts on round 2 before we wrap things up here on Locked On Knicks. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts. For your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for with eBay Guaranteed Fit. Your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, with all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Donte DiVincenzo. I said it before. He was the third most important Knick in this game. You want to make a case. He was the second most important Knick. I'll hear it after playing at points less than 30 minutes in this series. He goes to all 48 tonight. 23, 7, 4 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals, a titanic 2-way performance, a quick trigger 3 to start things off, and it just gave you a jolt to begin this game and a sign that, all right, tonight was going to be different, and it was. Opened up 3 for 3 from distance. The Knicks finally went to what I was hoping for since game 1, since we saw Joel Embiid was not going to be at 100%, since we saw he was going to be sitting in a deep drop, and over again to start this game, they were using Isaiah Hartenstein as a hub on dribble handoffs. And especially when you do that with DiVincenzo, just because Philadelphia was focusing so much attention on Brunson, and they weren't going to do that with anyone else on the Knicks, he was getting wide open shots off Hartenstein, as simple as a dribble handoff to him. First time they did that, Maxey closed hard, so he drove right by him, flipped it to iHart, got the Knicks off to an early 7-0 lead. Next time they did it, Devo got a wide open 3. Another time from super deep off a kick from Brunson, quick 9 points, really fueled the Knicks, going up by 22 early in this ball game. And then the defense shutting down Maxey with a whole lot of help. And the Knicks were not going to let themselves get beat by Tyrese Maxey. They said, we are content for Joel Embiid to score 39 in this game. We are apparently content for Buddy Hield to come out of nowhere to score 20 points in 21 minutes in this game. We'll talk about that in just a sec. But we are not going to let Tyrese Maxey beat us. And from the very first play of the game, there were 3 defenders around Tyrese Maxey. Donte was chasing him. Hartenstein was rotating over. OG was covering the rim. And if the Sixers roll guys were going to hit threes at Tobias Harris and Kelly Oubre and Kyle Lowry, we're going to have a big night, so be it. Those guys didn't. Those guys sucked, except for Oubre. Oubre was good. He had 17. Harris and Lowry combined for no points in 42 minutes on the court. Batum and Hield were great. They made the Knicks pay a little bit for doing that, but they accomplished their goal. Maxey was 6 of 18. So Devo, back to Devo. The 3 threes to start in this one. The big swat on Embiid. Another big 3 after the Sixers started making their first run to answer the shot from Hield. After they cut it to 11, he got it back to 14. An incredible job on a drive. One of the few times they left him on an island with Tyrese Maxey, chasing him and stripping him. And then again, when Philly coming back, pump, go, slip to iHart for the push shot. Just a nearly flawless start to this game. And it was the timing of his threes in this one. Philly up by 10. Felt like they had a window to just break this thing open, just like the Knicks did when it was 33-11. Philly went up, 61-51, 71-61 early in the second half. Had a chance to just end the game. And DiVincenzo, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on this, but I'm going to say it. A big ball shot to just hit the 3, cut it to 7. Late in this game, we mentioned the inbound Tyrese Maxey on him. Should have been an and one. Wasn't. The physicality of Donte DiVincenzo bullying Maxey. And that was a big shift after Philly bullied the Knicks in game 5 and bullied the Knicks during that 49-19 stretch. The Knicks early on and late in this game made Philly feel them. The Knicks had 6 offensive rebounds in game 5. They had 5 in the first 7.5 minutes of this game. Hartenstein crashing the entire game. Hart opportunistic. And Donte DiVincenzo, the physicality there, and then blowing by Embiid on a switch to make it 105-98 with 4:07 to the left. Donte has had zero success attacking the basket in this series. That time getting all the way to the rim late in the game on Embiid, who was so good late in game 5 protecting the basket. Just another gutty play, and then didn't blink late. 2 free throws. Him and Brunson, you can't take it for granted that they went 4 for 4 down the stretch. The Knicks haven't done that all series. And in this game, they missed a lot of big free throws. Anunoby won late. Brunson won late. They made just enough of them to hold on. Before we get to Hart, we got to talk about that Sixers run. After it was 33-11, the Knicks defense was so locked in. Isaiah Hartenstein did incredible work on the glass, keeping plays alive. Brunson cooking, Devo cooking, Anunoby aggressive. Hart was rolling early. And then the Sixers move Embiid to the bench. And I freaking hate Nick Nurse after this series. The guy broke a finger complaining about calls. Complains about every single call. I gotta give him credit. This was the guttiest call either coach made all series, just ahead of Tibbs going small at the end of game 4. And that was to go small, down 33-11, to remove Joel Embiid from the game with Tyrese Maxey doing nothing. And the Sixers just start rolling. Gave a quick 5 to Nico Batum on a 3, and then just a frustrating Josh Hart foul that you can't commit in that situation when you have that big of a cushion. Frustrated after a miss, and just fouled Batum trying to get a jump ball. And then Campaign, who's been just a thorn in my side, a thorn in all of your sides in this series. He's been great. Unfortunately, picks Josh Hart's pocket. Mitchell Robinson should have called it out. He didn't. Makes it 33-19. Brunson misses 2 free throws. I was frustrated with Jalen Brunson at that point. It's hard to be frustrated with Jalen Brunson with everything he's doing, with the load he's carrying, but they needed that. Mitch falls. 5-on-4. Philly gets another 3. It's 33-21. Just like that, with Embiid off the floor. Batum had 10 points in his first 7 minutes. Hield hit 2 threes. And then Hield just keeps getting threes. The Knicks keep doubling off Buddy Hield. And that was really frustrating from Tom Thibodeau that he doesn't call a timeout, make the adjustments. They were committed to not letting Maxey beat them. And when Hield got rolling like that, hasn't shown it all series, literally does not make a 3 through 5 games, and then hits 5 in the first half of game 6. And I'm going to pause this for a sec to give a personal anecdote of why this just tortured me. So I am a major, I don't know if I've ever talked about this before on the podcast. I'm a major University of Oklahoma fan. Buddy Hield was post Blake Griffin, even including Blake Griffin, part of the best Oklahoma basketball team in my life. They got to the Final Four, and they got embarrassed by, guess who? Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart. I believe that was the DiVincenzo year. Or was it? No, it was 2016. It was 2016. But Devo might have been on the team. He might not. But Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart just embarrassed Buddy Hield. After they beat them in the regular season, they beat them by 40 or something in the Final Four. So I was on the wrong end of that one. It stung. It hurt for a long, long time. It was embarrassing. And then I was tonight somehow again going to be on the wrong side of Buddy Hield, and this time rooting with all my heart for Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Devo. And that I think I was maybe the only person in America in that predicament. Please leave a comment if you're an Oklahoma fan and you were in that predicament as well. That was torture, watching Buddy Hield catch fire like that. The offense just fell apart. They were terrible in transition. Fred Katz put it out. The Knicks had at least 5 possessions during that second quarter where they got to stop, got on the run, and just couldn't score. They were really hesitant to go out Joel Embiid. Give him a lot of credit. He maybe because he wasn't that involved with the offense, but he got back on defense. It was Cap with Donte threading the needle on a pass, and Anunoby just missing a wide open dunk, which sucked. And the Knicks finished the second quarter, 15 points, 25% shooting. And then Joel Embiid comes out of the second half, just going for the kill, hits back-to-back threes. And it was a 9-0 Sixers run. The point where I thought the Knicks might just have to pack this in for Game 7 was when Kelly Oubre jumped the passing lane, went coast to coast, and you just had this sinking feeling that it was not going to be the Knicks night because they just did not have the legs that Philly had. To win series like this, you generally need one game where a guy comes off the bench who hasn't been working all series, and it's a home game, and you work him in, and he gets going. And the Knicks, when they lost Bojan Bogdanovic, that was supposed to be Bojan Bogdanovic in Game 5, and instead he's out for the year. When you don't have Julius Randle, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, just wiped off the floor, and all of a sudden Jalen is the only guy you can rely on to create shots, and you're left in these games just dragging out these possessions, trying to take the air out of the basketball, and having to beat what was the best defense in the league over the final 8 games of the regular season as a one-man army, with Jalen Brunson going 1-on-2, 1-on-3, 1-on-4 sometimes. The Knicks didn't have any business pulling this together and winning this game. And you can excuse, it sucked, but you can excuse a 15-point second quarter with 25% shooting. You can excuse them giving up a 33-11 lead and a 49-19 stretch, a 9-0 run coming out of halftime. You can excuse it all because this team had every reason to lose. They had every reason to quit coming off what was the most painful first-round loss, maybe including or outside of Game 2 of the series. It was the 5th time in the last 30 years a game had ended like that in the playoffs, with the team up by more than 5 inside the final 30 seconds, with the Knicks up by, 6? With the Knicks up by 6 inside the final 30 seconds and finding a way to lose. Coming off that, and then the Sixers just land a haymaker. And their bench is going off. Buddy Hield has 5 threes. Nico Batum, exhumed from the grave, finishes with 16 points. And the Knicks were dead tired down the stretch of this game. Gave back that putback slam to Batum. The putback for Kelly Oubre. And yet, the Knicks find another gear. Screw campaign. Screw Buddy Hield. Screw Nick Batum. Screw Joel Embiid. Respect to Tyrese Maxey, but screw you, Tyrese Maxey. These Knicks. These freaking Knicks. More to say on Josh Hart. Real quick on Josh Hart before we wrap this up. We talked about the shot. The hustle to start this game. Sliding after a rebound and somehow knocking off Tyrese Maxey's foot a second before he's going to go out. That was the most matrixy, Josh Hartsy play maybe of his career. Sixers, after that 11-0 run, it gets answered that made it 33-22 to get back in the game. Gets answered by Josh Hart taking it coast to coast and hitting a 3. That's another big ball shot. Second half, he gets hurt right away. I thought that was the series. Again, I was like, could not survive without him. He comes back, spins around Lowry, laying over Embiid. Then an and one to cut it to 62-61 before Philly went on that burst. Then just chasing Buddy Hield to start the fourth, smothering him initially. Hield eventually got off a 3. But that first possession, coming out with the fire and sending a message, it was not going to be the same story as the first half. And then the 3 late. There was a lot more in this game. There was a lot to say about how they guarded Joel Embiid. I thought Tibbs made some bad decisions in that respect, and I would have come pretty close to matching Mitch's minutes with Embiid's minutes down the stretch of this game, as Mitch just did a far better job defending him. Embiid was torching Hartenstein in single coverage because the Knicks, after Philly hit shot after shot from distance, the Knicks, and 17 threes for Philly in this game, the Knicks refusing to come off their shooters. So Embiid over and over again, early third, late fourth, just backing down Hartenstein. Little baby hook. Had to make the switch to Mitch. Then Tibbs was hesitant to do it. And you get it to some extent because the Knicks were just so starved for offense. And when Mitch in there, it's just that much harder to score, that much easier for the Sixers to play a zone or a hybrid zone because it's one less guy who could shoot, one less guy who could pass, one less guy who could even catch the basketball if you double off him, unless it's a lob. But Hartenstein contributed in other ways, like over and over again on those flip shots. Those were huge. Hit like 2 or 3 of them early in this game after he didn't make a single one in game 5. That was enormous. His work on the glass, enormous. That's what carried the Knicks to the early lead. I mean, late in the third, when the Knicks were down by 10, 2 more flips from like 6-7 feet away. I said it a bunch of times. Those look like easy shots. Go to the gym. Try it a few times. Those are not easy shots. And Joel Embiid, Mr. MVP, Mr. All NBA, was scared over and over again to take foul line jumpers while Isaiah freaking Hartenstein is flipping them in with one hand. Shout out to Hart. Shout out to iHeart. What a revelation for these Knicks. He got the tap out that led to the OG jam. Stopped Embiid late on a drive where Embiid lost his footing, and then iHeart just ate the shot. Just gutty plays. And Mitchell Robinson, it wasn't perfect again, but the defense on Mitchell Robinson, on Maxey, first play of the game, he got a steal on Tyrese Maxey, was just ridiculous. The offense was tough to watch from him. Didn't look at the rim on offensive rebounds. Missed something like 4 tap-in attempts when the Sixers were making their spurt. Just one of those. Felt like he would have quelled the tide. But man, did he battle in the second half, like drawing a foul on Joel Embiid, where Embiid was just fed up with Mitch refusing to commit. Went Captain America on his butt, saying, I could do this all day, fighting for position over and over and over again. Embiid eventually just shoves him, and the Knicks get the ball back. And then Paul Reed comes in, Mitch swats him, ties him up. Deuce barely plays because it was Devo's night. Hits a huge 3 late to make it 95-93. He just doesn't get cold. There's only one way to end this show. I'm gonna read your comments once. Zucchini says, let's go. OG had a second half redemption. Bradshaw's 3-2-2. I forgot I could put these up. Heart of the City, what an insane shot. Cody, let's go Knicks. Let's go Knicks. Juan Cepeda, yo, we did it, man. We did. Michael Parker, salute. Knicks Nation, salute. Avi Rosen, Donte finally went off. Alex Nader, let's go Knicks. Avi, OG attacking all open threes is something that needs to continue if the Knicks are going to beat the Pacers. They're going to have to check the rim on closeouts because they're not going to outshoot them. I am going to say the Knicks' decision to go for the 2 seed may be justified very belatedly. And this was a war. We'll see how much it takes out of them ultimately. They get a little bit of a break, not playing Indiana until Monday. That is going to be, like, make no mistake, they are not as good of a team as Philly. That is going to be a brutally tough series with their pace, with a lead guard in Tyrese Halliburton refinding his mojo, with someone who is as playoff tested as Pascal Siakam. It's going to be really, really hard. It's going to be really freaking tough. But the Knicks have enough to do it. One thing I'm looking at really early on is the balance the Knicks strike in that series between crashing the glass and getting back on defense. Indiana, the highest pace in basketball outside of the Wizards, the highest scoring team in basketball, the highest scoring team in NBA history. Do the Knicks make them pay on the offensive glass? And if they don't get rebounds, can they get back, or will they get burned with threes? It's a great opponent, a classic series. The Knicks have a great chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. They win. We're going to talk more about it in the coming days. One of the great first-round series in NBA history. There's nothing else to call it. It was transcendent. Now that it's over, I can say shout out to the Sixers. Respect to everyone on that team, not named Joel Embiid. Gutty series, 2 great teams, start of a long-term rivalry. I hope is it really hasn't been 35 years since those teams played each other. What a win. What a team. What a season. Let's go Knicks. Let's go Knicks.